Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda Ray. For those of you that are new here, I left a cult when I was 17, almost 18 years old. If you're interested in hearing the stories on that, I will leave the links to those videos in my description box down below. But today we have Emily Tucker here. On one of my previous videos, we did a story of her mom, Christy Tucker. So this is Christy Tucker's daughter. We're cousins.
At least once.
Yeah. Everyone in the order is somehow related. How many kids your mom has, and what number you are in the family?
She has 10, all single births, and I'm number 6.
Oh wow. All single births, meaning all at home?
Well, no, twins.
Oh.
That's what everybody's like, were they all single births? Because they say how many kids.
And 10's a lot, yeah. I've never been asked that, and my mom
No.
has 10 kids.
Yeah. I know.
They will just say, is it from the same parents?
Yeah, they ask, I get that one too.
Yeah, but I'm like, yep, same mom, same dad.
Yep.
5 boys, 5 girls in my family.
Same.
Really?
Whoa.
Weird.
That's
Okay,
cool.
I'm second oldest, and you're the
6th
oldest of 10. Oh, okay, interesting. Did your dad live polygamy? He did?
Yeah, he had one other wife for about 9 years. I didn't know about her.
I never knew that he did either.
Yeah.
So that was in the order, and then they got a divorce? 9 years?
Yeah, well, it wasn't a legal marriage, so she just left.
Okay, wow. Was she at the mine?
She was in Salt Lake, so he would have to go back and forth.
Oh my god. So I wanted to bring up, because people were so interested in your mom's story and how rebellious it was. If you guys haven't seen her mom's story, I'll leave it linked in my description box down below. But basically, I'll give a rundown version. She was trying to get her money out of the order. Well, your mom and dad were. They were trying to leave the order, the cult that we were born in. And they could not get access to their money in the order bank. And so what her parents did was they devised a plan to basically make a list, right, of all the order standards that the leader broke, and they were going to come out with new ones. They had the empty, it was 10, right? Yeah. So when your mom was telling me the story, she said that they made the list to pass out to all of the kids to give to the parents. And you were one of the kids. And I remember being shocked that she said that you were so excited to share that. I was like, that must have been you must have been rebellious then. Why was you so excited? Because you were 14?
I'm social justice warrior. I remember when my dad got fired from the mine.
Why?
Because he was asking questions that
questioning the leadership.
Yeah, to other members, and they didn't like that, so they fired him.
Wow.
So, but awesome. He started selling fruit and actually started making a living wage. So that was cool.
I'm sure he was making chump change he was working in a mine, right?
I think the most he made was a little over $6 an hour.
In a mine? Wow.
In a coal mine. He was a union president and a foreman, and he'd been there over 20 years.
And $6 an hour. Wow.
With 10 kids.
With 10 kids. That is ridiculous. So that's probably partially what sparked him being what am I doing?
Because I've asked, and they've said they knew that there was no future for us because of the black blood rumor.
Oh, so. Should we talk about that? Or
yeah,
no?
we can talk about it.
Okay. Because I remember your mom, Christy, they just would say Christy's family, the Tucker family was bad blood. But I don't know if it was, they would actually say black blood? That you guys had black blood?
We would get told, kids would come up and say, we can't play with you because you're an N-word, or we can't play with you because Tuckers lie. And
this is coming from their parents teaching them these things. Okay, wow.
And we were good order members. The people who were saying, we didn't have sugar in our house, we didn't have breakfast cereal.
Right, and your dad's working for $6 an hour for the orders company, giving his all to the Lord.
Yeah.
Yet they're calling your family the N-word.
And liars.
So it's basically if it comes from someone higher up, even if it's a rumor or a lie, everyone believes it because they trust that person.
Yep.
And usually what I've noticed too is it's they kind of make up the rumors because they don't want people to trust your family. Probably too because he was speaking out, and so then they fire him and then they discredit everything you guys do and say.
Yeah, they tried really hard. But we were, I laugh about this because we were lucky we didn't have to run in the middle of the night with all of our stuff,
An escape, yeah.
Yeah, we had a huge moving truck, a huge U-Haul.
Wow.
And we loaded it up, we took our time, people were coming up, came up and was trying to talk my parents out of leaving.
Really?
But what had happened was we were trying to move, and we were going to move before the school year started.
Okay.
and I was going into 9th grade.
Okay.
So Paul wouldn't give us the money, so we had to start school there. And so,
okay.
So we went down there for a couple weeks until we were able to get the money, and then, so my parents, I remember, I mean, it was just an innocent picture, but you know, it was so devious and
so they
sneaky.
showed you the picture and they told you what they were going to do and why they were doing it because they weren't getting their money out.
Yeah, they explained it to me.
Okay.
And then the younger ones, I was like, all right, let's do it. So then I gave a few to my younger siblings. I was like, hey, guys, we got to hand these out. We got to pass them all out.
So did you do it on the school bus? You're like, this is one's for you, this one's for you.
The school bus, and our bus driver, she was awesome. We used to pay her for candy. She would
buy candy from the bus driver.
Yeah. That's funny. We would give her money, and then while we were in school, she'd go buy candy and then give it to us, and we'd eat it on the bus before we got home.
Oh, that's cute.
But so she knew us. She knew us really well. She was our bus driver for years. But the way we got picked up was our house was very first. She would drive down through Huntington down to the canyon. My family would get picked up first, and then she'd go in this loop and pick up all the order kids in Trail Canyon, and then she'd move to Bear Canyon and pick up all the kids from Bear Canyon, and then we would drive for like 10-15 minutes until we picked up any outside kids.
Okay, so it was all usually order kids first and then the outside kids, and you guys, and you had to go to public school this time because there was no private schools for the order.
I sat in the back and I waited till they were all loaded until we got done in Bear Canyon. And then I started, hey, look, here's a picture of Paul.
That's how you said it?
Oh, look at this picture. Or I just hand it to them. They'd go, what's this? And I'd say, oh, it's a picture of Paul.
You'll love it.
Show your parents. Look at this cool picture of Paul. And there was one, but I handed it to him. And he goes, what is that? And I said, oh, it's just a picture of Paul. Take it home, show your parents. They'll love it.
I love it.
He looks at it and he goes, I'm not taking this. And he puts it on the seat. And I says, well, I'm just going to leave it right here. If you don't pick it up, I'm going to see it, and all of the outsiders are going to see it. And that's on you.
Yep, that's your fault.
And he shoved it in his bag.
Wow.
And then the Monday after, we got the money.
Well, yeah, that's what your mom was saying. She was like so distraught about it because they were not giving her access to her own money, and then as soon as that happens, all of a sudden they have access to the money. So it's like so interesting. That's why I wanted to talk to you about this. When she brought that up, I was like, interesting, because I remember being your age and being so conflicted with like saying anything bad about the order or about Paul, and like being afraid to fight the power, right? But I guess when you have your parents there being like, it's okay, you can do that. And that's a big...
And I struggled too with my brain tumor because, you know, they would say God answers kids' prayers.
Yeah.
You know, kids are innocent, so if kids pray, God answers those prayers. And so I would pray to make my tumor go away.
Aww.
And I would pray to whatever, you know, and they never got answered. So I was like, well, I'm talking to myself. All right.
Yeah. Or he doesn't love me enough to answer my prayers.
Yeah.
And that's what I was gonna ask next was what was your childhood like growing up before all of that?
So it was fun. It was, you know, we my parents, I'm really lucky to have them. But in the canyon, we played all the time, but around, I was almost 8, I was having a lot of headaches, but my mom and my brother always had headaches. They struggle with migraines and stuff, so I just thought it was that.
Yeah.
And because I always heard them say they had headaches, so I was like, oh, everybody has headaches, you know, whatever. And then it would get worse, and I started to wake up in the middle of the night, and I would get my older sister to come outside with me. So I'm 6 out of 10, so, you know, middle child syndrome, you don't want to bother your parents, they're already dealing with enough. And so I would take her outside with me, and I would vomit in the compost heap, and then we'd go back to bed.
And that was just the routine every night? Wow.
Yeah, and so she told my mom.
Yeah.
I was very upset with her. But she
for
saved my
telling?
life.
Yeah.
She saved my life.
Oh, okay.
But, so my mom was thinking, you know, headache.
Yeah.
So she has glasses, Jeremy has glasses, a bunch of us have glasses. So she's like, oh, she needs her eyes checked, which, you know.
Could be,
yeah. So we go to the eye doctor in town, and he dilated my eyes and found swelling on the optic nerve. So he ordered an emergency MRI, and we went up the next day. I think I don't remember the timeline, but went up, got the MRI, and I had severe hydrocephalus and a brainstem glioma.
Wow.
So I needed emergency surgery.
How much longer do you think until you probably would have passed away?
I don't know, but I would have just gone to sleep and never woke up.
Yeah. That's so scary. Going to the doctor and getting the scan, right?
Well, they had to. I mean, you know, you're told, even in a cult that doesn't believe in medicine, you're still like, you don't want to lose your kid.
Right.
So
that's so scary.
So they took it seriously, and I was really lucky that they did. But
if it were up to Paul, I don't know that he would have had you go in there.
he wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I doubt it very much.
I mean, there's been other cases where they just try to do home remedies for that kind of stuff, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But so after you went and got the surgery, wait, when did you get the surgery? How old were you?
8. No, not 8 yet. I remember it was the summer I was turning 8, and I was really worried I was going to have my birthday in the hospital. But I didn't.
Okay. But your parents never decided to ask Paul if it was okay?
So before the surgery, and it had to be done quickly. Okay. So before the surgery happened, people would tell them that you can't do that without asking Paul. You got to have a meeting with Brother Paul. You got to check with Paul. And my mom asked a couple, if your kid broke their leg and the bone was sticking out, would you need to ask Paul?
Right. Or wait in line for a meeting with Paul.
Yeah.
Or go all the way down to Salt Lake to have a meeting, because you guys lived far away from
3 hours away. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But what'd they say to that?
They said the doctors lie. And my mom I saw the tumor on the scan. I saw it. Mm-hmm. Well, they lie. It's not real. And, she could see my symptoms. She saw the scan.
You were throwing up every night.
Yeah.
What about that?
Yeah.
Is she lying too?
Right.
Are we all just being lied to?
Just dramatic.
Ridiculous. It's a lucky thing that they didn't listen to that. At 7, 8 years old, you had the surgery. Mm-hmm. And then did you have to keep going back?
So I had the first surgery they call it an ETV, and that's an endoscopic third ventriculostomy, and it's where they just put a little hole in the third ventricle in the brain to help the fluid drain.
Oh, okay.
So we got that, and we came back home, and then everybody was, people were telling my mom that cereal caused it. Cereal gave me the brain tumor. And, sugar gave me the brain tumor. And I'm over here paying my bus driver for candy. So,
did you feel guilty?
I did.
Aww.
I did. And it wasn't until, and I had thought that I had, gotten rid of the guilt and everything. But when I was in school for my MA diploma, I learned how tumors are formed.
Right.
And a huge weight was lifted, and I was so mad that I was carrying that.
Yeah, the guilt of eating a candy bar as a kid.
That you just don't even know you're still carrying. And then when you lose it, you're like, oh.
Yeah, because I'm sure you felt guilty for I made my parents go through all of that.
Yeah.
And I could just not eat the candy bar. But it's how is the tumor formed? I don't even know.
So tumors are formed, and this one is a really rare one. It's just cells grow too fast. Mm-hmm. And have nowhere else to go. The body doesn't absorb them because it's growing too fast. So it just forms a little.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it just happens. Is it usually in the brain?
No. Well,
it can happen anywhere.
Yeah, that's typically how tumors are formed, and I mean it changes definitely, for cancer and things like that. But it's just when things are happening too fast for the body to do anything about. And I'm learning that, and I was like, I didn't cause it.
Yeah, it wasn't the candy bar. They say the weirdest thing. I was just telling her too. My half brother who ended up being gay. The first wife in the family was crying, saying it was because I ate eggs and there's hormones in the eggs. It's where do they get all of this from? And why are they always blaming themselves for everything? It's ridiculous.
Well, and my oldest sister, who was trying to leave at the time, kept. When she would try to leave, she'd have somebody come ready to pick her up, and I would go into a coma. And so she would be like, it's my fault, I know.
Yeah. So they did, this is reminding me of a story too. My little brother has seizures, and they really believed that sugar could trigger it. I don't know if there's research on that. I don't know how true that is, but there was a time where he had a seizure on a night that me and my sister had snuck out, and then we came home to him having the seizure, and they of course blamed us, even though it would have happened regardless.
It would have.
But I remember feeling really guilty, like maybe if I wouldn't have sinned, you know, then
I know.
this wouldn't have happened.
Well, but that's just another form of control. That's another way to keep you there.
It's crazy though, you still felt it even out of the order.
Trauma.
Right. It lasts a long time. We all need therapy. So the remedies, I wanted to go into detail about some of the weird remedies that they would have for us. So my brother that had seizures, they put him on this weird diet where he couldn't have any sugar because in hopes that that would help with the seizures. Did anything like that happen to you?
It was recommended by some that I do a 30-day fast.
Who said that?
I'm not going to say.
Oh my gosh. And you were 8.
Yeah, almost. Probably 8 at that time.
And to think that it's logical to put an 8-year-old on a 30-day fast to cure your sickness.
Yeah, but if you're dead, then you're not sick, so.
So they're like, oh, look, it's on. What did your parents say? Like, absolutely
They said
not.
no. Yeah, they said no.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. I'm wondering if we know of any little kids that did actually go on those kinds of fasts. That is ridiculous.
You know?
They put, I remember them saying when Ortel passed away, Ortel was the leader before Paul, they tried putting him on the fasts to starve the cancer. That's what I had heard, but like I don't know where they're getting that information from.
Again, if you're dead, the cancer's not going to grow.
It's true. It worked. The cancer is also dead, right? We ended it there. I was talking to Cammie about, because along the lines of like asking Paul if you can go to the doctor, if you can even do anything for your own medical health. She had, my sister Cammie had an appendix burst. Her appendix burst at home, and what she was telling me was like, almost like they didn't understand how severe it was, and they made her stay home for 3 days, and then finally Cammie was like, it's progressively getting worse. Like I can tell, like I feel like I'm dying. So finally, exactly, she would have died. And my dad wasn't there at the time, and I feel like if he was there, he would have like called Paul or something, but it was just my mom. So my mom rushed her to the hospital. They get there, and Cammie's in a lot of pain, like struggling, and she's getting into the, what is it called, MRI, like where they scan you. And as she's going in, my mom whispers to her, "Stop acting like you're in pain. They're gonna keep drugging you." Like she's trying to help her in the order way, like we don't need to drug you anymore. But she doesn't understand what she's doing to her daughter.
No.
So like weird stuff like that happened the whole time. Like it was the religious thing where they were trying so hard to not use the doctors as much as possible. And I think, and this is Cammie's perception of the way that, and our dad showed up at the hospital too, the way that she perceived it was almost like when they were putting her under. She thought that Dad was thinking that she was going to die because she didn't trust the doctors.
That's scary for her.
Yeah, it was like a really weird experience, but she feels like it would have been so much different if they would have just not believed in the weird stereotypes that the order makes about the hospital and not trusting the doctors and the drugs and all of that.
My parents did not do that. I remember my first surgery. I remember just being super quiet, not really knowing what's going on. I'm young. At that age, you're brought to places. You don't go on your own. They just take you because you can't drive. And
right, you have no control.
Exactly. So
You're under them.
I'm just there, but I know I could tell my parents were really nervous, but I didn't really know what was going on, didn't understand how serious it was and all of that, which was
probably a good thing. Yeah, it's because
good.
you're a kid and you don't need to be stressed about all that stuff. I think they did a really good job of it. Were you in and out of the hospital a lot?
Wow.
For
most of my childhood and teenage years.
So, what's the diagnosis?
I have a tectoglioma that causes hydrocephalus.
Hydrocephalus is something that's super, like, supposedly rare because it's harder to, it's misdiagnosed,
yes,
right?
Often. So, about 200,000 cases are diagnosed a year in the U.S., but a lot of things go undiagnosed or they get missed. Hydrocephalus is when the fluid on the brain isn't draining well or at all. And people, you can get it after a head injury. So veterans are at higher risk, our police are at higher risk.
How did you get it?
The tumor. You can develop a brain bleed, especially elderly people, you know, when they're on blood thinners and stuff, if they fall and hit their head. And then they start acting confused after.
And then they think it's dementia.
Yeah. So they get misdiagnosed with dementia and Alzheimer's, but it's normal pressure hydrocephalus or some other thing. So more people have it than we know, but diagnosed is like 200,000 cases a year.
Wow. Do you think that a lot of children die of it?
Yeah.
And
So it's like 50% of kids make it out of childhood with this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the only treatment right now is brain surgery. So complications from brain surgeries, infections, shunts get infected. So I was shunted. I don't have a shunt anymore, and that's a tube that goes from the top of your head, and mine would drain into my abdomen. But some have it go into their heart, and so you can imagine if that gets infected.
Yeah.
That's, you know.
And it's just, it was just in there and draining constantly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so they had to cut your head open.
Mm-hmm.
We'll show a picture, right, of the scarring. It's not in there anymore, so how is it draining?
The hole that so after the first one closed, they did a bunch of shunt surgeries, placements, and then shunts fail all the time. Mm-hmm. Some people can have a shunt that will last 70 years. Mm-hmm. That was not me. So mine failed all the time. They get blocked.
How can you tell you start to get headaches again?
Mm-hmm. And your symptoms come back.
You have to be very like in tune with yourself and
For
listen
me,
to yourself.
which I'm a kid and I want to act like nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
I couldn't, can't do things that are going to cause head injuries. And so, I would blow off the symptoms and just be like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And, but my mom would know. Mm-hmm. And she would know. But a lot of times, the way we knew I needed to go in was I would go to bed, and so this is what I'm told would happen because I have no memory of this. Mm-hmm. I would go to bed and I would sit up in the middle of the night crying and then just vomit everywhere. I shared a room with my sisters, and so they'd clean it up and go get my parents, and so then they would take me at that time in Huntington, 3 hours to primary children's. That's what happened for them. For me, I would go to bed in my bed, and then I'd wake up in the hospital like 3 days later.
Oh, and you have no recollection of, wow. I'm sure your parents were worried about their little baby. And then having 10 kids too. And was that your dad also making only $6?
Yes.
Did they have insurance? How did they do
Medicaid.
that? Oh,
yes.
Thank goodness.
The whole other conversation. But one point, when we had moved, after we had left, I was still on Medicaid, and I saw a bill, and it was over $100,000 for 1 month.
1 month?
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I think that, okay, this is off topic a little bit, but I think hospitals definitely overcharge.
It is ridiculous. Our healthcare system is garbage.
It's like, this is a child
Yeah.
too, and they're gonna feel so obligated to do
Yes.
anything they can.
Yes.
So that's how they get them.
One
They
of
pay so
my
much
patients, she passed, but she had a bone cancer, and the chemo killed her. She was cancer free when she died. The chemo killed her, and her mom is still getting bills for over $1 million.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do at that point? Just
I
don't
wouldn't pay anything.
Yeah. That's so. It's
Yeah.
like you didn't even save my family members. So why? What am I paying for here?
Yeah. My parents they were not going to put me on the fast, but they were interested to see if food would affect it. Mm-hmm. So I went on a raw diet, and fruits, vegetables. Once a week, my mom would I'd get a chicken breast or a baked potato, and I never went hungry. She made sure I never went hungry. She weighed me and measured me, I think, every week.
Wow.
I mean, my mom.
She did so much for you. That's so sweet. And to have 10 kids and do that means so much. Did you feel like any of the other siblings ever got a little jealous? I did with my brother that had seizures.
I don't know how you couldn't.
Yeah.
Because
you needed that extra
I did,
care.
and I, but it was my aunts. They would step in, and so it was. It was good. I showed you a picture of a baby with hydrocephalus yesterday.
Oh yeah, where the head swells, right?
So a lot of babies get diagnosed in utero. And so if I had been like that, and my mom had me at my grandma's house with a head that big.
Yeah. How would she even do that?
No.
Can that happen where
Yeah.
it's in the womb like that?
Mm-hmm. And they take them by C-section because there's just no way they can be delivered safely.
Gosh, yeah. Your mom could have even passed away. Okay. Took a little intermission, but what we were talking about was remedies, weird remedies in the order. So I was going to ask you. So we drink comfrey every morning religiously. What about you guys?
We did. My mom made it really good though, so we didn't mind it as much.
How did she make it good?
Frozen peaches.
I hated the taste of. So for those of you that don't know, comfrey, I'll show a little picture of it. It's a plant that the order thinks is like, it's like medicine from God. I always call it like the fountain of youth is what they would talk about.
So do you know why they actually started all that?
We can talk about it because I only know the version of where the Native American wanted to be part of the order, but when the Native American found out they were eating comfrey, he told them that it was poison, and then the Charles or whoever was like, no, you're just not close with God, so you don't know that comfrey is actually like medicine. So then the Native American was like, you guys are crazy, I'm not going to join anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Did you hear that story?
No.
Oh, what did you hear?
So that was around the order
30s,
started in
1935.
1930-ish, right? 1935. So we dropped the bombs on Japan, and then there was the whole fear of radiation and nuclear war and all
because
of
that
that.
was the Great Depression time frame. Okay.
Yeah. So I had heard that Charles found out, or God or revelation, whatever, somebody told him, or he thought it probably, that comfrey would prevent radiation poisoning.
What? I never heard that.
No?
No. I just heard that there was someone that had a vision. It was something that they knew was God, speaking through, was it Charles or Eldon? And it came in the same Sunday school teaching was talking about how eggshells was also shown when they were in the military to strengthen your teeth.
Yeah.
So, but we were told that the Native American, and of course the Native American's going to know more about the earth that they're,
And the plants, but if Charles or Eldon, whoever, is more enlightened than a Native American,
like we should be so blessed.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's how they taught it. But now, in hindsight, seeing the research of what comfrey can do to you if you eat it, it's even illegal in some countries to sell it in like edible form because it's so bad for you. I honestly don't think Paul drinks it. I don't think he does.
I would be shocked. Paul's been busted at the malls. My brother walked up on him at one of the malls, made sure to shake his hand and make sure he,
What was he doing at the mall?
shopping.
For himself?
Yeah. But
He shouldn't be allowed
the
to
order
have your own
doesn't
life.
have it, we don't
need it. Yeah, that's literally in the memory gems every day. We would say, after having meditations, we would say, all of our incomings and outgoings in the name of the Lord, right? And all of our, if the order doesn't have it, we don't need it. Meaning, you can't spend any of your money to outside companies,
outside stores. That was against.
And there he is doing that. Interesting. I've heard of, this is probably off topic, I might cut this out, but I've heard of his brothers, specifically one, getting caught drinking a lot. I even had someone who was a fan of the show send me a picture from Texas. He was in Texas with a VIP pass, which is where they only get the VIP passes so they can get unlimited alcohol. And she took a picture of him and sent it to me and said, "Isn't this your cult leader or something?" And I was like, "It's his brother." But thank you, I will keep that. But multiple people have said they saw him at casinos drinking and stuff like that. So it's like the leadership can just do whatever they want, but we get shamed, the ones at the bottom, right?
Well, and if you're shaming yourself, they don't need to shame you. They can just add to that and pile on, and you're going to feel worse. But they get to do whatever because God Because Jesus.
Jesus said so. But I think too, it's because when you're so young and they instill that into you at a young age, then they don't have to try as hard once you get older. You're like you're saying, you're gonna do it to yourself because it's been bred into you. So we were talking about remedies and how they were trying to make you do a 30-day fast. Not your parents, but or
other
people were
people,
thinking that would be a good idea for a 7-year-old to do a 30-day fast. We've had multiple people in the order die from these kinds of fasts. My own aunt last year died while she was on a 30-day fast. We talked about this in the video with Michelle, but she had, I don't know what it was that she had that was wrong with her, but it was kind of like what Michelle was saying is the wives would compete for the love and affection of the husband, and he had like 15 wives? I'm not sure exactly. It was a lot of wives. And so this one, my aunt, was like one of the favorites because she was so devout, and he would brag and say, she can do these 30-day fasts, like, why aren't you guys putting in the effort? So she felt like she was getting more love, and so she's like on her day like 20, and she died on the fast. But multiple order people die on these fasts.
Well, if they get sick, they put them on them, and for older people, it's not 30 days, it's 40 days.
Really? 40-day fast?
It has something to do with Jesus. And
what consists, because I kind of want to explain to my viewers, I don't even know because I never was on any of those fasts. I only did like a 3-day water fast, but a 40-day fast that's not completely dry.
No, you're going to drink water, just water.
Okay.
But like the way, because I didn't do it, obviously, but the way because I've asked, they would put water in their mouth, swish it around to just kind of get it wet and then spit it out. And then
can you swallow it?
Some would drink water. I mean, you're not going to go 30 days, 40 days without water. You're going to die. So you have to have water. You cannot go that long. It's physically impossible.
I remember hearing a story that someone went on a 40-day fast. I don't know if they were in the order, but they were trying to make sure that we are careful with how we break our 40-day fasts because you can die. Do you remember the story of someone who took a bite of steak?
Yes.
Yeah, and they died because your body can't handle that after 40 days of no food.
Of nothing. Yeah, so you have to come off of it gradually.
When I heard that story, as a kid, I remember being like, I never want to go on a 40-day fast. Like, is that easy to die? No.
Well, your body's shut down. You've to that point, your body is shutting down.
Right.
You've got organ systems that are going to be your kidneys. I mean,
your body's not used to functioning like it used to be, so it has to be gradually brought back in. And we did like fast Thursdays every Sunday. Fast Thursdays every Thursday. First Thursday of the month, which is a copy of the LDS because they do Sundays. But we would do 24 hours, and I was pressured to do it at a very young age. And I remember feeling guilty if I accidentally broke that fast. And it was 24 hours. Like I remember staying up till midnight to eat like a saltine cracker because I was starving. But like to have this be they're doing it monthly, and then on top of that, they're having people do 40-day fasts as remedies. Like the extremes that they do. And you were talking about how who was it that had the cancer?
Eldon.
So Eldon is the leader before Ortel. So the first leader of the order had penile cancer. We didn't know that though. She just told me that. I had no idea.
I knew.
But their remedy was. You want to tell them?
So, it was to put lye on his penis.
Let me show you guys what lye is because I didn't know until you told me.
If you don't know, it's like mobsters used it to break bodies down when they were trying to hide bodies. So
why would they think that would help?
It'll eat it. It'll
eat it away, literally. Did he consent to that?
I think so.
Oh my gosh, that must have been painful.
Yeah.
And they don't believe in like drugs and anesthetics, so he must have just been sitting there in pain. Right? Like how long before he died did that happen?
I'm not sure. I just know because that just clicked, and it's gonna stay forever because that is the most ironic, hilarious thing to me.
A polygamous cult leader
gets penile cancer.
It's true. It is true.
Which, by the way, 60% of penile cancers are caused by HPV, which is human papillomavirus.
And maybe that's why I had never heard that he had that kind of cancer. Maybe that's why no one really knew.
Not saying he had HPV, but likely it was.
60% chance. And they could have been embarrassed to tell the following, right?
We already know he didn't have a problem sleeping around.
Of course. He has plenty of children to prove it.
Do you think that stopped just with order women?
Do you? That's
I
an
don't.
interesting concept.
I don't.
You think that it went further than that?
I think it does with all of them.
Yeah?
Why would they stop at just order women?
We should do a video on this because I have a lot of stories that I know are true about this. But when I was in the order, I would never believe that they would ever do that.
Of course not. They're holy men.
Yeah, but now that the stories that I've heard, I'm like, interesting. And things have been coming out more and more because people are speaking out. But yeah, that's an interesting concept. And here's the thing too. I always wondered, like, why is it that they can have so many wives and you'll still hear about them, like, molesting a child or doing, like, it's like, there's no limit.
It's grooming.
It's never enough.
Exactly. So if they're going to do that to women and children, why would they not?
Right. Everywhere else.
Yeah.
And I feel like most of these men are just perverted men who can't control themselves or whatever. It's blaming women for their ways.
Is an insult to men because men can control themselves.
Exactly.
They're not wild animals who can't. They're capable.
My mom told me, and this is I'm blaming her for my trust issues. No, I'm kidding. It's because what she was taught. But she told me that LaDonna's Paul's mom, the leader's mom. She said that the reason that God made polygamy is because men cannot be faithful. So we have to live polygamy because it's better being in front of our back than behind our back.
Oh, yeah.
And mine was like, Mom, do you really believe that?
So much easier knowing about it.
I'd rather be single. I would just rather not be in a relationship. But she didn't. My mom's like, I don't know if I believe that, but sometimes I wonder. And I'm like, well, the men here, but if you expect that and you lower the expectations, of course, that's what you're going to get.
Well, yeah.
But
and they don't have to control themselves. Why would they have to? They're men.
Ugh.
Ridiculous and an insult because my son will control himself and
he's
does.
Capable.
He's 14 and he does.
Yeah.
He's very respectful.
Yeah, I do think that a big part of the problem is society has allowed it to be that way. And we just like, boys will be boys. It's like, no, they will be respectable, respecting women. How the order is. It definitely with sexual abuse. And
that's not even a real thing.
Oh no, they don't even use that term. They don't even use, I was going to ask you too, like mental terms. They don't even use depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, none of that stuff. Autism, I feel like runs rampant in the order, but they never acknowledge it.
No.
Yeah, I had one of you guys ask on one of my last videos, how do they treat members with autism? They don't do anything different.
No, nothing. They're still expected to work. My step grandpa, before he died, he was married to a couple women who were mentally disabled.
Really?
So for the women, they put him to work and they marry him quick and they're pregnant and they have kids. And so you have these parents who are not equipped to raise kids, raising a bunch of kids.
Right.
They're not being fed well. They're not being clothed well.
Because they don't have the mental capacity. They shouldn't be having to have all of this put on them.
Exactly, that they're put in that position is abuse.
So ridiculous. So I'm glad they were talking about all this. There's so much more we could go into that. I feel like the STD thing is such an interesting topic too to think because you just think like one person has it. They all have it.
And HPV is a skin to skin contact, so you don't have to have sex to get it.
Yeah.
It's just.
So if let's say he was one of the 60%, he did have HPV, all of his wives would have that. Because I'm also interested if that is why a lot of people have cancers in the order.
I am too. This has gotten me, like, I want to know how people died. I want to know what cancers they died from.
And like literally all of my grandparents that died in the order died of like cancer. Yeah. But I know cancer is a pretty common thing, but like everyone, I feel like too, Ortel was pretty young to be dying.
He was only in his 60s.
Yeah, and that was cancer. And
I don't know though.
That's what they tell us.
I don't think that one was cancer. We can.
Yeah, we might do a video on that one. Yeah. But it's so interesting to try to like unravel all of this stuff, all of this terminology that you never would have known of if you stayed. You wouldn't have even known about hydrocephalus.
No.
And you probably would have passed away,
Yeah.
which is really sad. But
I wouldn't have known the difference.
yeah, thank God for your mom.
And
Thank God that she fought for you.
Well, my dad too, because he very easily could have pulled rank and said no.
Oh yeah, because he's the man of the house,
Yeah.
and your mom would have to listen.
Mhm.
So he has just as much a part of
Yeah.
it as your mom.
Yeah.
So
They
that's
saved my
awesome.
life repeatedly. They saved my life.
And it's so sad. Like, this is why we need to share this stuff, because there's a lot that weren't lucky enough to have the parents that she had that would fight for her. So I feel like we need to have more people speaking out against this stuff. And I think we're gonna close this video pretty soon. I did want to let you guys know that if you are interested in donating, because there's not very much research on hydrocephalus.
The only treatments we have for hydrocephalus right now, and this is how you spell it,
Yeah.
is brain surgery. And so if you have it, you have to have a brain surgery to fix it. And then if they fix it and that surgery fails, then you have another brain surgery to fix that one. And
My goodness.
they have a shirt that they sell for hydrocephalus, and you can go on to the Hydrocephalus Association page, and I think you can get these. And it says no more BS, no more brain surgeries.
Oh, I didn't get that.
I know.
Okay, so if you're interested in that or in donating, I'll leave the links to that down in my description box down below, and then you can check it out. I thought the website was pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
And you can learn more about it, because I had no idea about this. I was like researching when you told me about it.
Yeah.
But I really do think that it's misdiagnosed more than we think. So
Completely.
I think it's more
so
common
too.
than we think too.
I think so too.
But all right, well, thank you so much for
Thank
coming on the
you.
channel. And if you guys have any questions for Emily, she said that she would be willing to respond to your guys' comments in the comment boxes down below. So if you have questions, comment down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.